There are so many distinguished persons before me, and I'm really humbled. Former Prime Minister, former Chairman of the Senate, the President of the Supreme Court Bar Association, senior politicians, governors, elected parliamentarians, luminaries of the bar. So I won't name them, but it's a great honor for me to come here. I will speak in English, and it does make sense to speak in English when the book that arrived at my residence has been translated into the English language. I am deeply honored to have been invited to speak on the translation into English of my life and times, an autobiography of the late Abdul Samad Khan Achakzai. This work has been laboriously and with dedication translated by his son Muhammad Khan Achakzai, who himself is a most distinguished person and served the people of Balochistan as its governor for over 5 years. As Chief Justice of the Balochistan High Court, I was privileged to administer the oath of office to Muhammad Khan Sahib as governor of Balochistan. Muhammad Khan Sahib and I also attended the same school in Quetta, which I learned from the introduction to the book, the St. Francis Grammar School, from where he did his senior Cambridge, while I proceeded in class 10 to the grammar school. Muhammad Khan Sahib's father, the late Abdul Samad Khan Achakzai, and my father, Qazi Muhammad Isa, were contemporaries and friends. Abdul Samad Khan Sahib was born in 1907 in the area of Inayatullah Faez of the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa district. My father was a few years his junior and was born in the same district in Pishin town, the second largest town in British Balochistan. However, Abdul Samad Khan Sahib and my father diverged in their politics. Khan Sahib wanted freedom from British rule under a united India. My father invigorated the All India Muslim League in Balochistan, which wanted freedom both from British rule and from the domination of Hindu nationalism, and from an India in which Muslims remained in perpetual subjugation and domination. Abdul Samad Khan Sahib mentions his meeting with Muhammad Ali Jinnah at pages 260 and 261. I would recommend that you must all read this book. It's a very readable book. And what the author, the translator, has done, and I believe has been ably assisted by his son, was the footnotes, which makes it very interesting. This meeting took place at Malabar Hills residence, and I will quote from the book. We carried our bilingual English-Urdu conversation for a good 1.5 hours. Although he was sympathetic to the cause of Balochistan and had already demanded a separate Balochistan province in his famous 1929 14 points, he had neither gone there nor met any leader from there. Unquote. I am puzzled by this comment. When the late Abdul Samad Khan Sahib says he had neither gone there nor met any leader from there, which is stated, if I may say so, as some sort of a disqualification. After all, was Khan Sahib himself not from Balochistan? And one does not have to physically go to a place to be sympathetic to the people of that area. On the contrary, without having ventured into Balochistan, yet being sympathetic to its people and demanding provincial status for Balochistan as far back as 1929, showed unique vision and statesmanship of Mr. Jinnah. Neither the Indian National Congress nor any other political party had bothered about the people of Balochistan, let alone to advocate their cause. Another young man, the first barrister from Balochistan, Qazi Muhammad Isa, was also to meet Mr. Jinnah, a meeting which would change the course of history for Balochistan. My father was captivated and convinced by the vision of Mr. Jinnah, the president of the All India Muslim League, a message of hope, freedom and a separate Muslim homeland, a message which he disseminated in impoverished Balochistan whilst battling entrenched political parties which professed Gandhi and Nehru's message for united India. Finally, the All India Muslim League succeeded in creating the largest Muslim country in the world, which embraced and welcomed all. On this, Abdul Samad Khan Sahab writes, and I quote from the book, that immediately after the creation of Pakistan, the executive committee of Anjuman-e-Watan, and this was the party to which he belonged and which he created, resolved, and I quote, "We are the loyal citizens of Pakistan and are ready to offer all sacrifices for it," unquote. However, those foremost in the movement for Pakistan who advocated an all-inclusive independent Pakistan were subsequently pushed aside by self-serving and autocratic rulers. The central pillar of unity, of the triangular unity, faith and discipline, was damaged and then destroyed by various devices. The people's interest was subjugated, and this culminated in renting asunder the country in 1971. This book comprises of personal information, pre- and post-independence events, and innumerable incidents and stories which form part of our history. For example, one grievance aired by Abdul Samad Khan Sahab was that, and I quote, "In post-independence Pakistan, the political parties and political leaders of the Pashtuns were not only suspects but were persecuted as the enemies of the state and were virtually debarred from participating in national politics despite the formal and public allegiance of Bacha Khan to the state of Pakistan from the floor of the Constituent Assembly of Pakistan on 23rd February 1948. I may add that the Constitution of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, which was unanimously adopted by the elected representatives of the peoples of what remained of Pakistan, that is its western wing, prohibits discrimination and prescribes equality of citizens. And this is Article 25, one of the fundamental rights of the Constitution. And I quote, "The state shall discourage parochial, racial, tribal, sectarian and provincial prejudices among the citizens." And this is Article 33 of the Constitution. The state is also required to, and I quote, "to enable the people of different areas through education, training, agricultural and industrial development and other methods to participate fully in all forms of national activities, including employment in the service of Pakistan." And this is clause F of Article 37. This book also mentions the first newspapers published in Balochistan and the role played by them. Khan Sahab mentions that my father was the, quote, "owner and publisher of Al-Salam, which advocated the cause of Muslim League and independence." He writes, and I quote again, "To protect the freedom of press and the few privileges that the press had before the freedom of India, our unity and cooperation in Balochistan was unique. Despite the huge schism between the Congress and the Muslim League, while I was president of the local branch of the All India Editors Conference, Qazi Muhammad Isa Khan was its member. And while Qazi Sahab was the president of the Balochistan Advisory Committee, I was its member. We were fully cooperative with both the organizations," unquote. The potential of the misuse of the press was also noted very early on. Abdul Khan Sahib narrates an interesting incident. Having started the newspaper Istiqlal, he was approached by a well-to-do citizen of Quetta who asked him, and I quote from the book, "Khan, how much would it cost if one was to write something abusive and derogatory about someone else in your newspaper?" unquote. Hearing this saddened Khan Sahab, who went on to explain to the person, and I quote again, "Abusing others is not a decent thing to do, nor are newspapers for such purposes. They are to serve the people and propagate high national objectives," unquote. This translation of Abdul Samad Khan's autobiography is undoubtedly a testament to the deep love and admiration a doting son has for his father, who was amongst the foremost leaders of Balochistan and whose life story should be of interest to historians and to every Balochistani, if not every Pakistani. The book is also a lesson that political or ideological differences must not make one forget basic courtesies and respect for one's opponents. I once again sincerely thank Mohammad Khan Achakzai Sahib for inviting me to this book launch. Thank you, gentlemen and ladies.